He brought them out of darkness and gloom and broke their bonds apart. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love and for the wonderful works to humankind. For he shatters the doors of bronze and cuts in two the bars of iron. Some were sick through their sinful ways, and because of their iniquities endured affliction. They loathed any kind of food, and they drew near to the gates of death. Then they cried to the Lord for their in their trouble, and he saves them from their distress. He sent out his word and healed them and delivered them from destruction. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wonderful works to humankind. And let them offer thanksgiving sacrifices and tell of his deeds with songs of joy. Some went down to the sea in ships, doing business on the mighty waters. They saw the deeds of the Lord, his wondrous works in the deep. For he commanded and raised the stormy wind, which lifted up the waves of the sea. They mounted up to heaven. They went down to the depths. Their courage melted away in their calamity. Reeled and staggered like drunkards, and were at their wits' end. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he brought them out from their distress. He made the storm be still, and the waves of the sea were hushed. Then they were glad because they had quiet, and he brought them to their desired haven. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wonderful works to humankind. Let them extol him in the congregation of the people and praise him in the assembly of the elders. He turns rivers into a desert, springs of water into thirsty ground, a fruitful land into a salty waste, because of the wickedness of its inhabitants. He turns a desert into pools of water, a parched land into springs of water. And there he lets the hungry live, and they establish a town to live in. They sow fields and plant vineyards and get a fruitful yield. By his blessing, they multiply greatly, and he does not let their cattle decrease. When they are diminished and brought low through oppression, trouble, and sorrow, he pours contempt on princes and makes them wander in trackless wastes. But he raises up the needy out of distress and makes their families like flocks. The upright see it and are glad, and all wickedness stops its mouth. Let those who are wise pay attention to these things and consider the steadfast love of the Lord. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So?
Very comforting.
Yes, but I still hear this, the subtle theme underneath, live right and you'll do right. If you don't live right, then things are gonna go bad for you. I guess I can say, maybe I'll regret saying this, but I wish that were true.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel more like one of the other Psalms where the writer says, you know, why do the wicked prosper and the righteous seem to suffer? Why is it like that in the world? And there's the plaintive plea to God to explain that. And here, I don't know, here there's this wonderful image of God who is on the side of those who are poor and who are downcast and against those who are causing problems for people. I mean, is that what you hear? Is it the same?
Mhm. That word steadfast always gets me, and it's not just that those who follow and do good, but those who are steadfast. It just reminds me that no matter what is going on, that we have to, the resilience is so important.
Well, and also God's resilience, right? I
Right?
mean, God is described over and over again as being steadfast in love and care for the people.
I'm feeling great. I'm good. Yeah, I'm ignoring it. And that's and for the best. Well,
Is that someone at church? I hear someone talking in the background.
Yeah, it's not here.
Here, I just realized I didn't turn my TV down. Hold on.
Oh, okay. She's the culprit.
I'm going to try. I feel bad for you, Colette. Oh, wait, maybe that's her. Is that her coming now? No.
I think. Yes, it's
It
me.
is her.
Ah.
Hey, I was just going to go look for you.
Well, I watch PBS News and it
Oh, okay.
just ended.
We thought you couldn't connect as some of us couldn't, but you are steadfast. God being steadfast. Colette is a steadfast person, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
She doesn't give up too easily, that's for sure.
I was trying to forward this to the invitation to Judy, but I don't know if it went through.
Yeah, I tried to send an invitation to everybody twice, but
Oh.
it did not go out, so.
I saw my name in there.
Good, good. I want you to see your name in there.
Oh, gosh.
And I also want you to know I have the volume turned way up tonight, so.
I can hear.
Good, you should be able to hear everything. And,
Yay.
and if you go to YouTube and watch it on YouTube, you'll find the volume is up there too.
Oh, good. So my suggestion was accepted.
Yes, we do. We do pay attention.
Oh, beautiful. Where did it go?
Right here.
That beautiful picture of a lady with blue.
Oh,
It's Melinda.
that's
That's
Melinda.
Melinda.
That's Melinda's still life.
It was a still life. Yeah.
Oh.
So
She's
you have this.
much better than me. She's her pay grade is much higher than mine. I would have no idea how to do something like that.
Yeah.
Purely trial and error.
Oh,
Look
that
at
would,
there. See?
another steadfast person. I'll have to learn to have a little more resilience, right? And be steadfast and not give up so easily. But
And I think from what this long psalm says, we read Psalm 107, I think that there's a connection between expressing gratitude. You know, every sort of movement of it talks about give thanks to God, give thanks to God, give thanks to God for God's goodness. And I can't help but think that there is a connection between cultivating an attitude of gratitude in your life and then seeing and experiencing God's faithfulness and staying with you through difficult times. I think they're connected. I think they're At least they have been in my life. You know, if I'm really, I don't know, I'm in a jam, or I'm really unhappy, or if things aren't going my way at all, and I mean in the longer run, if I work on trying to be grateful and express that gratitude to God, it feels like things change. They don't change, but it feels like they do.
We just look at it differently.
Yeah.
And we have the faith that because we prayed, we asked for it, that it will change. So we just look, have a different perception.
Yeah, and the philosophers will tell us that 90% of our life is our perceptions anyway.
Really?
It's all in how we see it and how we allow ourselves to see it. And this psalm is filled with the litany of give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. And he's good to those who persist in faith. We don't have to focus too much on the warnings that, you know, God is not good, is not going to be good to those who cause people to suffer or, you know, deprive people of what they need to live. But it goes right back to saying, but let's focus on how good God is to those of us, to those who seek to be faithful to God. I don't know who those people are that embarked on ships.
Right?
I don't know who they are, whose business took them into the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was going from there into different work that people do or livelihoods or whatever, but it didn't go past that, and it really didn't go into anything else that was happening on the sea
No.
either. It was kind of, you know, it seems like it doesn't belong, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well,
You sure they weren't fishermen from Venezuela?
yeah. God bless them.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that the image of the storm and the ship on the sea always works as a metaphor for our human life. You know, life can be really scary, and the storms come up. I mean, how many times do we, you know, we have those songs about the storms that come in life, and they're not always storms. And the description of the sea is pretty graphic, you know, that the waves go up, they ride up over the top of the wave, and then they go deep down into the valley of the waves. I'm getting seasick just reading it. The commentator says that there is a meaning imposed on this original psalm. The people owe their entire existence to Yahweh's goodness. The exile was past, and from all over the ancient world, Jews were being repatriated by Yahweh to their homeland. He had claimed them back as his own people. And of that truth, their presence in the temple was proof. They had an obligation to render communal thanksgiving for God's covenant grace. From land and sea they had come. Homeward bound, they had endured the dangers of desert and ocean. They were so glad to be home in their own land, in Jerusalem, and in their settlements. Now they are urged to turn their relief into joy and thanksgiving and praise.
This person said that they titled the psalm God to the Rescue. Shows that everyone's story is different, yet everyone's story is the same. Interesting.
This is true. just looking about, where is it? He turns rivers into a desert, springs of water into thirsty ground. I heard Christiane Amanpour interviewed by Jon Stewart last night, and she was saying, which I did not hear about before she said it, that they were thinking of having to evacuate the entire city of Tehran because they had no water.
Right.
And he said it was probably because of mismanagement and global climate change.
Right.
That's a giant major city
Right.
having to face no water. Wow. So what are we doing wrong? Is it our fault? Some of it is.
Absolutely.
Maybe God can say, you mismanaged the resources I gave you. I blessed you with a fertile planet, and you are destroying it.
Yeah, and it goes back again to one of the themes that always seems to be underlying all of these, I don't know, both the prophets and the psalmists, and that, it says, listen to the words of this commentator I just read that part to, about this is a big expression of thanks as they're all coming home, right? They're all coming back. But he says, but a deeper spiritual note also is needed to be struck. Rebellion against Yahweh was what sent them into exile. It had been prison where they had to serve their sentences. It had been a sickbed to which their own moral perversity had sent them. And now Yahweh's liberating and healing word had come to them with assurance of forgiveness. So I think, I don't always know what to do with this image, but there were cities that had water flowing in them. And the water was shut off. Like, they turned into parched deserts. And this is a reflection back to how it used to be. Jerusalem was in the land of milk and honey, and flowing streams and green pastures and somehow in the process of them living there and their abuse of their neighbors and of the gifts of God, the place turned into a hellhole. And they were all exported out of there. Now, they're coming back. They're coming back as a sign of God's faithful love, and I guess the land will be restored. I hope some of what we're doing in global warming and the abuse of the land will be restored someday.
Well, most of what we were trying to do has been reversed, unfortunately. So that just puts us back a bit further.
They said to PBS News that China is the best country that is following the orders, because they do have new ways of creating energy without using oil
Yeah, because they pursued it, knowing that all of our future is in this issue, but we are still under the control of oil barons and people who are making tremendous money from fossil fuels.
yeah,
Greed.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, they did say China was way out ahead in wind, using, wind power, and also manufacturing efficient batteries, which we're all going to need in the future. Despite what the orange guy says, we're all going to need those things. So, it infuriates you, because we could be doing better. We should be.
We should be. Yes, we should be. Well, I wonder what they're doing about data centers, because that's what I keep hearing, that the data centers that they're building are taking tremendous amounts of electricity.
Yeah, that's why your electrical bill went up. It's
Right.
all those crypto places that use tremendous amounts of energy. And
I think the AI companies should build their own energy.
you may be right.
Yeah, let's put it in. Chat GPT.
Well, that's what went down today. Did you find out why we couldn't get on Zoom? Was it because of that big Cloudflare outage today?
I don't know if that was the trouble with Zoom, but I had said before you came on that our Columbia Bank was affected by it. We couldn't do any online banking.
I had some trouble today too with a couple of different sites that I tried to get on. And then I read about Cloudflare,
Right.
which is, I guess, one of these big companies that regulates all the internet traffic. And it was down. They said it was coming back gradually, but it did affect Zoom, they said, early in the day. So it may be there was some lingering effects. I don't know.
Oh,
I believe that more if we hadn't had so much trouble the last couple of times we tried to
Well,
do them all.
yeah.
But, I'm gonna get a new email server. We're gonna switch away from Outlook because it's not sending the emails out. We send out the newsletter and we use blind copy for, because we don't want everybody to get everybody else's emails. But we sent out so many blind copies with so many numbers in it that Outlook labeled us as a spammer.
Jeez.
So we can only send 10, and I found out today by sending the 10 I sent to you that they bounce back even with 10.
Really?
We're switching over to a server called Constant Comment, and you pay $10 a year or something for it, but it's 100% better than Outlook, so.
Yeah, sounds like a tea.
yeah.
That's right, it does. You just, you just
Well, it should be nice and welcoming then.
Yes, right.
It's like hot, warm tea.
That's right. You just have a warm cup of tea in the afternoon while it does the work.
Yeah, it's all such Greek to me that, I just figure, okay, I'll push a button and, things happen, but all the underpinnings and the different levels of stuff, which, I saw something on AI, the presentation the other day, it was on animation, and the person was mentioning that it would have taken 30 people 6 months to do what he can do in half an hour now with this animation stuff. It's just, I don't get it, needless to say. But all the coding and whatever, but it's going by giant leaps, I guess, is what's kind of, I'm still at phase 1, and they're at phase 1001.
And I want to get off.
Right. Right.
I don't want to go there anymore. It's like, okay, let it be. It can't get any more complicated, and then it gets more complicated.
Yeah.
It's just,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I don't have the flexibility in my brain anymore. I don't know, it causes distress. And then I can do.
Information overload.
I guess that's it. That is what it is. And boy, to be sailing along, and Barbara, you were talking about this before, and the next thing you know, somebody wants a password. But
Right.
it's a password that I have in my password keeper, but I can't remember the password to my password keeper.
Yep, it's kind of crazy.
Like,
Oh, gosh.
That goes in my category of don't forget the notes.
yeah, right.
We get longer and longer.
Yep. when I was telling Barbara before you all came that over the weekend, I put my phone in my pocket on Saturday, and I went somewhere and it was hot, so I took my coat off, and I left my coat and my phone at this person's house. And so I came home, I knew right away where the phone was, so I wasn't hunting for it. But I also knew that person's phone was dead. I couldn't get, I just resigned myself to the fact that I was going to go for the next 24, maybe 36 hours without a phone. And I tried, I tried to take a positive approach to it, to say, this isn't a problem. This is good. This is a good thing. So rather than scrolling in the evening, I picked up a book, and I was reading, and it all felt really good. It did.
Yeah.
And I went to sleep and I didn't worry. And then I woke up and I just had a great morning. But, as soon as I could get that phone back, I got it back.
Yeah, we're all addicted to this technology. Even if we don't understand how it works, we're all addicted to it. So it's got us. It was funny because I was trying to do a few things online today with my phone, and I came across this little video, and it starts out, faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to tall buildings in a single it gave the whole intro to the old Superman TV show, and I'm saying it a lot. I remember that word for word, but I can't remember how to work my phone. I just don't understand this. It's called getting old. I mean, it's these crazy things that you remember, and then the important things that you can't. It's getting frustrating.
I stop updating my phone every time it comes because I haven't even learned how to do the one before.
Right.
And keep up with it.
I don't know, I just hope that all of this, thinking about this psalm, I hope all of this isn't a far-off land that we've wandered into, that will ultimately enslave us in our lives, and then someday, by God's grace, we'll be liberated and find our way back to a simpler life. I hope that's not the story we're living in. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the relationship between God and this technology really is. I just don't know.
Yeah, it's something to think about. Maybe AI will just be a substitute for us, and AI can go on and pretend to be us, and nobody will notice, and we can go back to having a cup of tea and watching old TV shows, and nobody will know. And I would be content with that. I was just thinking, though, at the time the psalmist wrote these passages, I wonder what the technology of the day was. I mean, a piece of papyrus and, some ink. I mean, how advanced, and didn't that at the time leave a lot of people out too back then? Because most people could not read or write.
No, that reading and writing was not how you survived. It was, talking and mingling with the people that you were around. I mean,
so how could you get these psalms out to the general public? I guess just reading them out in the temple, but that still would only get to a few people. It's not going to, address the entire nation.
you don't think, you don't think people went to the temple?
I think a lot of people were restricted from going into the temple.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many actually heard the message spoken. And if they did they relate it to their folks at home? There's still, that would have been the technology of the day. The scribe writing.
Right.
And it still wasn't really efficient. So we're still in the same, predicament, trying to deal with it. So your comment about how do we relate to God under those circumstances with the changing, you know, technology of the day. How did they do it then? How do we do it now?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking along the lines that you're sending us in, which is, 15th century books and publishing and everything became part of the way of human life. But even then, the language was inaccessible to many, many people. So how many people really ever heard quote, the word of God? How many people heard it? I mean, I guess the prophets would stand up and bellow out what they had to say, but how many people heard it? How large a group of people? Now, I don't know, maybe I'm just being too simplistic, that, people still survived on communication. They figured out ways, and they communicated, and they traveled together as groups. So, but I just don't know how it relates today to God. I mean, where is God in the mix of all of this? Because a lot of what technology has done is it's filled in the gaps of God. Like that's not God anymore. I'm thinking about how it used to really, really be belief that if you got pregnant and you had a child, it was 100%, a choice that God was making for your life. Well, we've moved way beyond that now. We have a biology and understanding that, we know how it comes about and why it happens and all the rest of it, and we don't tend to think of people who want a child and can't have a child as somehow that was the hand of God stopping the womb. Those images. I don't know.
I think a lot of people still do, though, feel that way. That if God wanted you to have a child, you would have a child.
Yeah.
People still pray to God when they can't, conceive.
Yeah.
I mean,
And also,
we
I'm
have
sorry.
way more technology now,
Right.
but I don't think we're any closer to hearing the word of God. We hear it, but we're still not, we're not comprehending, which I don't think would be much different from the people who lived at the time of the psalmists.
Right.
But do we have what Melissa was talking about, Operation Overload? And there's so many different voices, so many of them saying, God told me to do this. And then how do we decide who is giving us God's word?
Well, and there, even this psalm, which is about, give thanks to the Lord, for the Lord is good, and, follow along that, let the richness of the sense of God's goodness fill your life, and then your life will be good on one level. But there's also still this creeping thing that, if I don't do right, my life is going to go bad. Or if bad things are happening in my life, I can say, oh, I must not be doing something right. And I don't know, it's here, I would say it's lurking in a lot of these texts, that idea. And I don't think that really is, I don't think that grows out of a holistic relationship with God.
Yes.
How many times in the last, 10 weeks has there been a phrase in the psalm we're reading that God's love endures forever? It's all these beautiful phrases about God's unending love and care for us. But I guess, like I said, I think there still is this sense that you need to walk with God, be grateful and walk with God and give God thanks, because if you turn away from that, there's no good stuff in abandoning God in
I mean, God doesn't say you're going to have a wonderful life if you do A, B, and C. I don't think that's God's message to us either.
Right.
Things are going to happen that we have no control over, and whether or not we believe God does, I don't, we don't know, but things are going to happen. Dealing with it is what brings, or what I think, I try to think that it will bring me closer to God in times of turmoil. Because, like you said, what else are we going to turn to? Not our telephones.
No.
That's no comfort. I think you're right. I think the phone is like sometimes the bane of existence, because we spend so much time with it. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. Don't stop. You're right. I think, it's
very hard to kick the habit, and you really can't in today's society. You have to be connected in some ways. You have to use these instruments, but it's very hard not to let it take over your life. Like when something goes wrong with the phone or the computer, and you feel like, oh my God, it's the end of the world, or you panic, and
yeah, you feel like you're coming apart because you don't know.
yeah.
And yet,
Right.
and my conversation with myself over the Saturday night into Sunday where I didn't have my phone, my conversation was filled with, how did I live? How did I live 30 years ago? 30 years ago, for people that I knew, days and weeks would go by, and I didn't have contact or information from my mother or father, even from my friends. And that was normal. Big gaps of time was natural. But now, I don't know. I don't want to be this way. I don't.
No.
I don't want to have to have. Look here it is, right here, right next to me.
Oh yeah. It's always right nearby. And if it's not, you can always ask,
Yeah, where is it?
exactly, and they'll bring it for you. But,
Person can't say his name.
right.
Find my phone. That's what I was telling Lou today. I couldn't find my phone. And I was getting more and more stressed about it, because not only because you depend upon it, but that's how I give myself insulin. And
That's right.
I couldn't find it anywhere. And, what were my options at that point? And, of course, the more I stressed out, the higher my blood sugar got. So.
See that dependency on these instruments that.
And, you start to think of everything that's on your phone.
Right.
And why you use it, and a lot of reasons that you shouldn't be using it, but there's a lot of basic stuff you do. At least I do on my phone now, communication-wise and contact-wise and whatever, that it's like part of, it's your third arm or something.
We're at the mercy of all of this technology.
Right.
I remember when Y2K was a big thing to stress out about.
I know.
And I kept saying to people, well, what's the big deal? So the computers won't work for a little while, and then they'll fix them. And they were saying, yeah, but you won't be able to get food. And I said, and I thought, why not? There's a grocery store down the street. There is food in that building. Do you think people are going to stand outside and say, the computer's not working, so we can't get food? We're going to break in and get the food. There's still some stuff you can do for yourself. But I think now with these phones, like Barbara said, so much more of our lives are on them that it's a whole lot different. It's a lot scarier.
I remember one of the things they said about Y2K was that garage door openers were not going to work.
All right.
So everybody everybody's car will be trapped in their garage. They'll think, well.
Yeah, but there is a way to disconnect the
There's a
Yes,
manual.
I know, you just pull the rope
pull.
and out you go.
This used to happen all the time when we didn't have any power. You had to pull that rope.
I mean, but now we have moved beyond that with this technology. It is true. There are real terrible implications if we all lost our phones. Oh,
And I think higher than that is we aren't aware of how we depend upon the phone, but then we also depend upon networks of technology that are way beyond us. And, you know, Verizon itself, Verizon is a network that can be attacked, it can be collapsed, and the systems of communication, it's like that network that failed today is a network we know nothing about. It's there, we use it, we don't even know we're using it.
I had never heard of it before, but evidently it controls a lot of the stuff we do. So, is our phone the new God? I mean,
No.
is it an AI God that we're going to be? Because theoretically, with this AI, they could fool all of us. Could be a stand-in for God, and all of a sudden some despot is going to take over and claim they're a new prophet and tell us what to do. and how do you figure out what's real and what's not,
Well, the way you just said it right there, then I want to say there's nothing new under the sun. Because even in simpler technology times, the challenges were the same. A lot of the Bible is trying to help people to recognize true prophets from false prophets and to follow in the ways that really are genuinely true and of God. And I think the crisis for truth and how to walk in the path of faith today is just as intense as it was back in more primitive times. Nothing changes in that area. New technology comes along and makes it, you have to catch up to the technology to understand the game that's going on. But it's still is this as important as this becomes? Can you live without it? Does this take the place of God in your life? And I think that's the same challenge that we human beings face all the time. We are dependent. We don't like it, but we are. And so, I don't know. We walk by faith, not by sight. Somebody said that.
And you can Google it and find out. That's what one of the people was asking about AI with medical. And they said, well, you can put in, and I've heard doctors as well on NPR saying, yes, you can put in your symptoms and then it will come up. But when I do that in Google, which I do all the time, then I'll find the answer from Mayo Clinic, or I'll find the answer from another hospital. So I have some idea that hopefully it's a valid source to find medical information. But with AI, they just will give you, they call it overview.
Right.
So where are they getting this overview?
Well,
And, people do follow this.
It's crowdsourced, which means it's just the common gossip.
Right, exactly.
it's the algorithm. There's so many hits on one explanation, it becomes the top explanation. And is it good info or just the most common information?
Truth by
That's why I
popularity.
usually scroll down away from it just to see other, because sometimes the first explanation isn't the best.
But if you go on one of the AI like ChatGPT and Claude or whatever, then I don't think you're going to get 20 different answers. I think you just get that
You get
one
right.
overview.
Uh,
And are we then going to all be, of course, as you said, it's the algorithm, and maybe there's a different answer for each person, just like what the algorithm follows what you want to know. So it's really, I don't know, it's much too confusing to me.
well, that's a difference between a personal relationship with God and a general explanation for your relationship with God.
Exactly.
A phenomenology instead of a relationship. Yeah. Well, that,
I don't know, science fiction, it's crazy. We're living it.
How much of it is now, coming to pass that people said, that would never make it. It's never going to happen, and it is. That's for sure.
I looked at the title of the next psalm, which is 108, and my 108. Yeah, my commentator calls it old yet ever new. And so
Huh?
I was thinking maybe we ought to read that, even though we're coming to kind of the end of time, but maybe we ought to hear a little more about what the psalmist has to say. And so if someone would just read 108, it's 14 verses. Let's see what comes under this topic of old and yet new.
I can read.
Okay, great.
I'll give Barbara a break. My heart is steadfast, O God. My heart is steadfast. I will sing and make melody. Awake, my soul. Awake, O harp and lyre. I will awake the dawn. I will give thanks to you, O Lord, among the peoples, and I will sing praises to you among the nations. For your steadfast love is higher than the heavens, and your faithfulness reaches to the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens, and let your glory be all over the earth. Give victory with your right hand, and answer me, so that those whom you love may be rescued. God has promised in his sanctuary with exultation, I will divide up Shechem and portion out the vale of Succoth. Gilead is mine, Manasseh is mine, Ephraim is my helmet, Judah is my scepter, Moab is my wash basin. On Edom I hurl my shoe, over Philistia I shout in triumph. Who will bring me to the fortified city? Who will lead me to Edom? Have you not rejected us, O God? You do not go out, O God, with our armies. Oh, grant us help against the foe, for human help is worthless. With God we shall do valiantly. It is he who will tread down our foes.
Well, if I listen hard, I hear some words of comfort in there. That, when life gets hard to discern and we don't know what to do, God will protect us, will guide us, walk with us. I hope even through the age of new technology.
Yeah, that would be good.
My heart is steadfast. This says it's a psalm of David, praise and prayer for victory.
Mm-hmm.
So do we want victory over time, all of the stuff that we don't get?
Yes, I have a sense.
Technology, especially.
I want to win over technology. I want it to be helpful, but I don't want it to run my life. I don't want to be a prisoner. I don't want to be controlled. I mean, we were created to be free. and to live free and to be able to, sing and rejoice and celebrate God's love, give thanks among the people and celebrate with music among the nations. These things are supposed to be helpful. They're not supposed to rule our lives.
I know, all of the technology was supposed to be helpful.
Yeah.
Maybe, it's up to us, each of us, to draw the line in our own lives about how much we're going to let this get the better of us,
And how we're going to use it as well.
And remember all along the way, from the psalm before, to give thanks to God for our daily lives and for the simplicity. The sun comes up, we have the grain in the fields, we have food on the table. These are still the gifts of God. These are still the way God loves and blesses the world. Technology gets in the way of us seeing that sometimes.
Oh, yes.
So, I guess I will say we'll end with those thoughts. Go home. We have to now turn off the Zoom technology because it's been listening to us and going, really? You don't like me?
Yeah, it's going to act up. Okay.
But look what I've done. I've got you all together and you didn't have to get in your cars and come out in the cold.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good to it. It's just, you gotta, can't abuse
How to use it. How to use it.
Am I your enemy?
I am very grateful for my phone because I can talk to it and it writes text. And when I get a text, I
That's
can
amazing.
make it
Right.
speak it to me.
Wow.
To me, that's one of the greatest marvels of it all.
Yes.
Push that little microphone and it writes everything you say.
The visual and verbal aid is awesome.
That's right. It is. And in one of my churches I served, there was a young man who was, I guess actually he was pretty much deaf, but he was also developmentally delayed. And at the time, I was desperate. He'd come to church, and the previous pastor would type out the sermon for him, and he would have the sermon in front of him, even if he couldn't read it. And this voice speak technology came along, and we got him a little computer, and he put an earphone in, and all of a sudden, I don't remember all of how it worked, but all of a sudden he could hear and understand everything that was happening in church.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
it was just a great, a barrier was overcome. And I don't know, it was just something really marvelous to be able to just know. I had the microphone up in the pulpit, and I can't remember how, but it was like speech to text. And so as I was talking, he could see on his little monitor, the words would go across the screen.
So that's the closed caption.
Yes, it was like closed captioning.
Yes.
And the accessibility is incredible for people that, are barred from hearing or seeing or all the rest of it. That's where technology to me is amazing.
Yes, and there is good in technology. We just have to learn how to limit our own access to it. So it's not the technology, it's us. And we need to reprogram ourselves on how to use the technology that is before us.
Bravo. I agree. That is
That sounds
Words of wisdom.
That's exactly the way the Bible describes us. It's not. It's us. It's us. It is us. All right, my friends, on that thought, I would wish for you a good night of sleep. And
Thank you.
I will talk to you again soon. Thanks for being here, sharing. tonight.
Have a great week, everyone.
Thank
Night
you.
all.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.